Do you think the legal workplace, as it is now, faces particular challenges for those who have these particular characteristics that we're talking about?
Absolutely, because I think as a sector, generalising here, but as a sector, it's pretty archaic, isn't it?
Yes.
In terms of approach to workforce, people, the way we treat people, the way we treat client is, again, very traditional. And I think it'd be remiss of us to treat ourselves any different in many ways than the education sector as a sector at large. I think it is a massive challenge because things just aren't recognised. And there is, again, that sort of cookie cutter approach, which is lawyer based, actually not client based, around the way we approach legal work. So, you know, everything is built in the same way. Lawyers are expected to behave more or less in the same way. And there is perhaps a lack of creativity and sort of looking at things differently in terms of how we can really harness skills and use skills in a different way. I think that the legal sector has for all too long expected a lawyer to be all things to all people, to be a business developer, to be good with clients, to manage a team. And you end up with your best technical lawyer being promoted to partner, and then they have to manage a team. Whereas actually, is that person a really good technical lawyer and they should be sat doing the legal research, pulling together the legal argument? Are they the right person to lead and manage a team? Are they the right person to go and harness new clients? Probably not. Yeah. And we're really trying to do a lot of work in terms of actually how do you really play to someone's strengths and how do you totally forget people's, because, you know, we focus too much on trying to improve and work on our areas for development rather than just focus on our strengths and really hone in on those. It's almost like the continuation of the education theory, isn't it? Let's do all of these subjects and do, you know, most of them badly rather than doing some really well and focusing on where we can really excel. If we applied that same principle on a macro level to the legal sector and focused really on how we can use people's strengths better, they'll be happy, they'll be their best selves at work because we'll get more out of them. And that plays into everything. It's sort of the way offices are set up. It's the whole spectrum of the way the legal sector operates. So masses of opportunity.
There is, and there is, I mean, although, you know, let's get it right. You know, if I compare where the legal sector is now compared to sort of 20, 25 years ago, it has progressed in some ways. However, even if we think about the academic route that the majority of lawyers are compelled to go through before they qualify, before they can think about areas like partnership, I mean, that is, I mean, I qualified as a lawyer. I couldn't remember any blooming case names. I can only remember one now, and I had enough trouble when I was going through my degree. The only one I remember is, neither of you from a legal background, are you? But there was this one case involving a slug in a bottle of pop that was the basis of common law negligence in the UK. That was called Donahue v. Stevenson, 45, I can still remember it. But I mean, to be in a situation where students are required to be able to regurgitate at the drop of, regulations, case names, it's hardly going to be conducive to someone whose memory isn't great.
Okay, so another pet hate of mine. And another reason why we've moved my eldest from the UK system into the US system, which is that examining by rote. So basically, you can do nothing all year and then cram for a couple of months and then hope that you remember enough to get you through when you've got short-term memory issues as he does. It's just nigh on impossible. And the level of stress, et cetera, that was causing was ridiculous. Whereas in the American system now that he's in, it's weekly assessments. And it's just a weekly assessment where he sits with the tutor and goes through, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. They'll have a look through all the paperwork and everything that he submitted and move him on to the next level. Even to the point where they're now talking through, the university entry process in the States. And they don't... In many of the 1,500 of the universities and states now, because on the back of COVID, with the challenges with kind of exams and stuff, they don't use exam scores anymore. So they take a little look at your GPA average. They don't do SATs anymore for these 1,500, but they'll interview you. They want to know what you've done in society from a charity point of view. They want to know what you've done in your community from a tribe point of view in terms of how you reach out within the... So they're testing the whole individual around who you are, what you are, and how you behave for the longer term, rather than saying, your whole future is going to be predicated on 3 weeks worth of exams in the summer when it's sunny and you can't go outside, and you can be really fed up because you can't go outside and you're going to have to study and hopefully remember what you're going to do. So the whole, a system that's based on memory is not a practical system for the real world, because there's not a single thing that we do within the legal sector, within our business, etc., that we can't look up on Google. Our ability to understand, our ability to find information is a gift. And I think that's one that should be taught. Emotional intelligence is a gift that we should be taught, because that's around all the stuff that we're talking about. It's the ability to understand everyone's different and therefore treat them in a way that's, going to work for them as well as for you. And I think exams by rote, and even government stuff, focusing on we need more exams around maths. How many people can access maths curriculum in a really comprehensive way and understand it? You can't force that in because that's what industry needs. It's industry's challenge to teach people the skills within the sectors that they move into. It's our challenge as a society to produce, to be fair, the school that Aaron did go to, the one thing that I loved that the principal always talked about is we are not looking for A-star students. We're looking to produce A-star people. And I just thought that's so perfect. And, the focus on mathematics and academics and all exams being on a rote basis is just beyond me in terms of producing people that are going to be productive in the world that we live in, because they're just not. What they could be is technically brilliant. They could be able to sit in their room for 7 hours a day and study and have zero ability to interact with another human being. And that just can't work, because 100% of our customers are people, 100% of our staff are people, 100% of our suppliers are people, all enabled by technology. But, being purely academic is a real challenge, I think, for people that are coming into a real world society.
Definitely. And the challenges would continue, as you've just said, once they're in a particular place of employment. I mean, you mentioned the office environment, Joanna.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, first of all, you've got the recruitment process, you've got an induction process, you've then got an office plan. A lot of us work open plan these days. Noisy, people on the phones, fire alarms going off, people stomping around. And, if I look at my kids, I mean, Amelia, the eldest, she has a bit of a problem with loud, sudden noises. And I'm thinking if she was in a classroom or in due course an office space and something like that happened, I think she'd struggle. So are there any solutions there, do you think?
Masses. And we get so excited about this because it's a work in progress. We need to carry on raising the bar. But what we're trying to do is end-to-end people journey with our businesses. We're trying to get to a point where we recruit. So, to Brian's point, we're not that interested in grades. Grades tell you something, but they tell you this much about a whole picture. So we're looking much more at what appeals to individuals. So when we recruit, we're asking people, rather than sending us a CV, so that's a piece of paper, anyone can write one, to tell us their why, to tell us what motivates them, what gets them out of bed in the morning. We try and get them to do that through whatever channel they like. So some people send a TikTok to the technology point. Some people will send a CV, and that's fine. But we've equally had videos of people doing a walk to work and just chatting to us on the way to work. And this would be my journey from my front door to yours. So people's why gives you a real insight into their personality, into how they prefer to work. We're trying to get to the point then where, we recruit, we have map chats, so mapped making a positive difference chat. So we're not looking at technical skill, because you can teach anyone technical skill. You can't teach anybody those skills Brian was just talking about in terms of collaboration and everything that you actually need of a lawyer in terms of understanding their client. We have loads of vulnerable clients, so that isn't taught in law school really. No. So we're looking at how people can contribute to a team and how people can enhance the team then through their experience with us. So for example, you mentioned the office space. That's absolutely true. So, and this is way more than a point on neurodiversity specifically. Every single person has their preferences in terms of how they want to work, what makes them the most productive, the most happy in a working environment. So for example, Brian's big on the fact that people who are introverted, don't want to sit in a busy corridor in an open plan area. It'll be their idea of hell. Other people may need a quiet space. So, we're not there yet with that, but we're really looking at sort of working patterns, how people want to work. And I think recognition is everything, acknowledging that it's okay not to work in the middle of an open plan office if that is a real struggle for you. That's really important. So we need to carry on doing loads of work around this. But again, it comes back to those life skills. For us, what's most valuable is, and I see it now in my children's school, some of the most valuable stuff isn't the curriculum, it's the beyond the curriculum stuff. It's the, right, go shopping, what can you buy for under a tenner? It's the internet's down, what are you going to do? How are you going to run your life when there's no Wi-Fi? And getting them to think in a different way. It's that creative thinking, that problem solving. And those skills are so valuable for them. And again, that's what we're looking for in recruits, is how do we bring a combination of everything? Because again, you don't want one type of skill. You want the whole range of different skills and collaboration approaches and everything. Because again, all clients are different. So we need to be able to approach it in that way as well. What do our clients want? Because I can guarantee they don't want a lawyer in pinstripes sat behind a desk.
Well, the client wants a solution, don't they? And you've made a great point there, Joanna, about there is the ability to find a solution. I suppose it can have academic aspects to it, but it certainly isn't solely a memory issue or remembering. It's about using the tools and the experiences at your disposal to get your client from A to B. And that's what the client wants. The client's not about the means, the client's about the end. And it seems to me that there's a lot. If somebody does have an issue with memory, if somebody has particular sensitivities around noise, I mean, we just use two very narrow observations there. I mean, you think of something like a courtroom, it would be a huge challenge.